God's prophets in general history, the Queen of Sheba with Solomon and the Queen of the Amazons with Alexander the Great. There is no difference between the two in their encounter with the Queen of Sheba in religious history and the Queen of the Amazon in general history. Queen Sheba, what does the Torah say about her? The Torah, 1 Kings 10. And the Queen of Sheba heard about Solomon's report of the glory of the Lord, and she came to test him with questions. And she came to Jerusalem on a very large train, with camels bearing spices and a very great deal of gold and precious stones. And she came to Solomon and spoke to him about everything that was in her heart. Then Solomon told her all her words. There was nothing hidden from the king that he did not tell her. When the Queen of Sheba saw all the wisdom of Solomon, and the house that he had built, and the food of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attitude of his servants and their clothing, in his drink offerings, and in his burnt offerings which he offered in the house of the Lord, there was no longer any spirit left in them. Then she said to the king, the report I have heard in my land about your deeds and your wisdom is true. And I did not believe the news until I came, and my eyes saw it. For behold, the half had not told me, you are wiser and good than the message you heard. Blessed are your men and blessed are your servants who always stand before you and listen to your wisdom. Blessed be the Lord your God, who has delighted in you and set you on the throne of Israel. Because the Lord loved Israel forever, he made you king, to execute judgment and righteousness. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and very many spices, and precious stones. No ointment has come yet in such abundance, which the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. Likewise, the ships of Hiram, which brought gold from Ophir, brought from Ophir very great quantities of sandalwood and precious stones. So Solomon made sandalwood for a railing for the house of the Lord, and for the king's house, and for harps and strings for the singers. Nothing like that sandalwood has come nor been seen to this day. And King Solomon gave to the Queen of Sheba all that she desired, except what he gave her according to King Solomon's generosity. So she turned and went to her land, she and her servants. After that, her story was told in ancient Jewish chronicles, as Kamal al-Salabi writes in the Secrets of the Torah and the People of Israel. Queen Bilqis, as she is known in ancient Jewish reports, had homosexual relations, according to news reports. Other sexual elements in the story say that Prophet Solomon had intercourse with her without marriage or consummation, out of disdain for her. The library of Historia Diodorus Siculus. When Alexander returned to Hyrcania, there came to him the queen of the Amazons named Thalassares, who ruled all the country between the rivers Phasis and Thermodon. She was remarkable for beauty and for bodily strength and was admired by her countrywomen for bravery. She had left the bulk of her army on the frontier of Hyrcania and had arrived with an escort of 300 Amazons in full armor. The king marveled at the unexpected arrival and the dignity of the women. When he asked Thalestris why she had come, she replied that it was for the purpose of having a child. He had shown himself the greatest of all men in his achievements, and she was superior to all women in strength and courage, so that presumably the offspring of such outstanding parents would surpass all other mortals in excellence. At this the king was delighted and granted her request and consorted with her for 13 days. Afterwards he honored her with fine gifts and sent her home. The story of the prophet Solomon and the Queen of Sheba in ancient Jewish records is a version of the story of Alexander the Great with the Amazon queen by Diodorus Siculus, the Roman historian. The only difference here is the location of the meeting, which was identified by Diodorus Siculus the historian, in northeastern Iran. We take a look at the story of the Queen of Sheba in the Quran, which contains many events. The Quran: we granted knowledge to David and Solomon. They said, Praise be to God, who has favored us over many of his believing servants. Solomon succeeded David. He said, O people, we were taught the language of birds, and we were given a share of everything. This is a clear favor. Solomon's troops, consisting of jinn, humans, and birds, perfectly organized, Upon reaching the valley of the ants, an ant warned, "O ants, retreat to your dwellings, lest Solomon and his troops inadvertently crush you." Amused by her words, he laughed and prayed, "My Lord, inspire me to be thankful for the blessings you've bestowed upon me and my parents, and to perform righteous deeds that please you. And by your mercy, include me among your righteous servants." He surveyed the birds and said, "What's amiss that I don't see the hoopoe? Could he be among the absentees? I will punish him severely or even slay him, unless he brings me a valid explanation." But he didn't take long to return and said, "I have discovered what you didn't know. I've come to you from Sheba with certain news. I found a woman ruling over them, endowed with every requisite, and she possesses a magnificent throne. I found her and her people prostrating to the sun instead of God. Satan made their deeds appear pleasing to them, thus diverting them from the path, so they are not guided. Shouldn't they prostrate to God, who brings out the hidden in the heavens and the earth, and knows what you conceal and what you disclose? God, there is no deity except He, the Lord of the majestic throne." He responded, "We will see whether you told the truth or are a liar. Take this letter of mine, deliver it to them, then withdraw from them and see what their response will be." She said, "O counsel, I have been delivered a noble letter. It is from Solomon, and it is in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Don't exalt yourselves above me, but come to me in submission." She continued, "O my counselors, advise me in this matter. I don't make a decision without your counsel." They responded, "We possess power and great military might, but the command is yours to decide. Consider what you will command." She said, "When kings enter a city, they ruin it and humiliate its noble citizens. Such is their way, I will send them a gift and wait for what the messengers will return." Upon receiving it, Solomon said, "Are you offering me money? What God gave me is far better than what he gave you. It is you who rejoices in your gift. Go back to them. We will come at them with forces they can't resist, and we will expel them from there, humiliated and belittled." He asked, "O nobles, who among you can bring me her throne before they come to me in submission?" A powerful jinn responded, "I can bring it to you before you rise from your place. I am strong and trustworthy enough to do it." The one who had knowledge of the scripture suggested, "I can bring it to you before you can blink." When Solomon saw it placed before him, he exclaimed, "This is by the grace of my Lord, to test whether I am grateful or ungrateful. Whoever is grateful, it is for his good, and whoever is ungrateful, my Lord is self-sufficient and generous." He said, "Disguise her throne for her, to see whether she recognizes it or is left perplexed." Upon her arrival, she was asked, "Does your throne resemble this one?" She replied, "It appears to be the same. We were given knowledge beforehand, and we have already submitted." What she was worshipping besides God had prevented her. She was from a disbelieving people. She was directed to enter the palace. Upon seeing it, she mistook it for a pool and bared her legs. Solomon clarified, "It is a courtyard paved with glass." She admitted, "My Lord, I have wronged myself. I now submit myself, along with Solomon, to God, the Lord of the worlds." From this point, the story of the prophet Solomon with the queen of Sheba in the Quran ends, but we will take some events from it. Namely Solomon's relationship with the birds, and the man who had knowledge of the book and who brought the queen's chair, and we will also take the description of the meeting place that Diodorus the Sicilian historian mentioned in his book about Alexander the Great's meeting with the queen of the Amazons. There are still more secrets with Alexander the Great and the Amazon queen. Hesham Taher.